Am I explaining to login? I thought I should be seeing their chat too.
Currently, I think they are like the waiting and left.
Okay. But I've sent messages to them.
Can you get this again? Because that's it, I can't see it.
But why am I not seeing their chat? So that means I have to be on YouTube. There's no problem with that. And that's why I'm asking that. I'm not on YouTube. Oh, are these the chats? No.
Okay, you're checking private chats.
Okay, these are the chats.
Yeah, what these are the chats?
Okay. Chats.
Sorry, let me go and private it.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon once again, and welcome back to class. Appreciate everybody for the support that we have received so far. It has been a very lengthy and stressful one. The economic situation of the country, as in we've been giving it all it takes. Students, as in me coming physically today also wasn't easy. So I also understand what everybody might have been passing through in order to attend the physical class. But one thing I want everybody to know is that at the end of the day, you'll be able to have something concrete to show for putting in all these sacrifices. And so far, I believe we've enjoyed every aspect of this training. You remember that we started with Excel. Then after trashing Excel, we moved on to Power BI. And after trashing Power BI, we moved on to Tableau, and we defeated Tableau. After then, we now moved on to the almighty SQL. Yes, I knew we faced some. It was during the SQL class that we started protesting. The protest, because I also have one or two things to protest. One protest was in my room online. Yeah, it was inside my room and online. It was because of the little challenges that we encountered during the SQL class. That was the reason why I said through the support, very supportive. That's why I said we should use last class to still go over some things. But funny enough, after that, I was still seeing several comments. You can imagine till now, some people have not been able to install the SQL perfectly. After the class has been over. After the class has been over. I know such do happens. And it's because we are using different systems, as in different models, HP, MacBook, etc., different operating systems. So when those configurations are different, certainly there won't be one method that fits all for the several configuration. And because of those challenges, in life, you come across different challenges and you learn from the challenges. So that's why I said for the Python class, we won't be going through the stress of installing different Anaconda, Jupyter, blah, blah, blah. Yes. So we'll be using the easiest approach of any installation. But now, if anybody is still interested in installing the softwares needed for the Python class, we have many able hands on our discussion platform. I believe many people are there. On our discussion platform, we have many able hands, as in that are willing to put us through the installation offline. So within that, sideways while the class continues. So now this is Python for data analysis. That's the new module, Python for data analysis. So we want to explore how we can use Python programming language for data analysis. And one thing we must know is that, Python is a programming language. Every computing device has their own unique language. Human beings have their own unique language. Different individuals that belong to different tribes have their own unique language. Likewise, any computing device also have their own unique language. That language is what we call programming language. And we have different, as in multiple programming language. In fact, every decade, there will always be new programming languages that will be introduced. So Python is also another programming language. Now, Python is a multipurpose in the sense that you can use it for many things. Web applications, you can use Python for simple web applications, complex web applications, little softwares, data analysis. As we have different programming languages, all those programming languages have their strengths and weaknesses. Now, if you want to develop a website, you can't say you want to use Java for website development. If you want to develop a mobile app or some softwares, now you can go for Java. Or machine learning or deep learning. For data analysis, Python is good for data analysis. And that's this one choosing Python for our data analytic class. So in this course, we'll be exploring how we can use Python for data analysis. And we'll only limit ourselves to that. It's not as if we want to learn Python in general. We only want to learn an aspect of Python that we can use for data analysis. So we've set the scope. It's not as if we want to learn Python in general, but we want to learn an aspect of Python that we can use for data analysis. That is what we want to do in this course. Okay, by introduction, Python is one of the most popular programming languages for data analysis. Why? It is simple to use. It is very, very powerful. And the reason why it's powerful is because it has some inbuilt functions, inbuilt libraries that you can use. And those libraries will save you a lot of stress in writing some lengthy codes on your own. There are some inbuilt libraries, inbuilt functions, inbuilt methods that you can just use for your data analysis tasks without you writing lengthy lines of code in those data tasks. So those tasks that makes it the best for data analysis. So now a Python library is what? A collection of functions. Now a function is like a group of codes, a combination of lines of codes that you can use to achieve a particular task. So a Python library is a collection of functions and methods that allows you to perform lots of actions without any code. Now the libraries usually contain inbuilt modules. You can use to achieve any task. So Python for data analysis is the process of leveraging Python's capabilities to examine, clean, transform, and model data in order to extract valuable insights and make decisions and communicate our findings from our data. Now, we said the reason why Python is the best for data analysis is because Python any libraries that you can freely use for analysis tasks. So we are going to explore those different libraries we have. Number one library is NumPy. NumPy is used for large multidimensional arrays and matrices. If your data is in form of array, NumPy is the best for it. NumPy works on data that are in form of arrays, data that are in form of sets. So NumPy is the best library for them. We also have another Python library called Pandas. Now, if your data is in form of table, that is your data has rows and column, then you can easily use Pandas for them. To use NumPy for data that are in tabular form, you must also convert them to arrays before NumPy for them. But Pandas library can work directly on your data that is in tabular form. And you know, analysis expert, our data is always majorly in form of Excel. It could be in Excel file, it could be in, and it's always been in tabular form. So Pandas can be used for several data analysis tasks. We also have Matplotlib. Matplotlib is another Pandas library. When it comes to visualizing our data, then we can use Matplotlib for visualization. We can use what? Matplotlib for visualization. We still have another Python package or library called scikit-learn. When it comes to performing predictive analytics, you know, we talked about different types of analytics, descriptive, descriptive. Yes, when it comes to predictive analytics, that involves making predictions. If you want to make predictions, you have to use certain machine learning algorithms or deep learning algorithms. Then this library is the best for any machine learning or deep learning task. I can say libraries that it can also be deep learning and machine learning tasks. We still have Django. If you want to come up with simple web framework for your application, you can use Django. You can use Flask. We also have beautiful SOAP, and we also have OpenCV. These are the different libraries that are available for our use in Python programming language. Now, the advantage of using these libraries is because each different functions. If you want to carry out a machine analysis task using support vector machine, it has an inbuilt module that you can use for that. If you want to carry out a data analysis task that involves you computing correlation, you know, all those correlation, it involves different mathematics. If you want to solve it manually, it will take you some hours. But now all those steps has been transformed into a program, the respective module, and you use it for your data analysis task. So different packages or libraries have different modules you can use for your data analysis tasks. So we can still group those Python libraries into 3 libraries that you can use for scientific computations. Those are what? Pandas, NumPy, and SciPy. You'll get the slides. So those are the packages for scientific computation. NumPy, we can use them for what? Scientific computations. Pandas contains different libraries we can use for data structures. NumPy contains different functions we can use to perform operations on data in array or matrices. So we see how different packages for visualization. Those are what? Or CBOM. Library used for different statistical syntax. Those are what? Scikit-learn or stats model. So we'll explore how to use some of these libraries. We'll demonstrate and learn how to use some of these libraries. So now, anytime you want to write a programming language, you always need a platform for programming. Written your program using any preferred programming language, you still need to convert the program you've written into a form that your computing device will understand. You know, when you are writing your program, you'll be writing your program using English language. But sad enough, our computing device does not understand our language because they have their own language. So there must be an intermediary that will convert the program we have written in our own language to a language that will language translators could be a compiler, it's a interpreter, it could be an assembler. The essence of the language in any other language that is different from the computing language into a language that a computer system will understand. And the only language of computer system understand is the machine language. And machine language uses sequence of words, zeros and ones. So that means all computations, all programs we write in our own language, it will be converted to what? Sequence of zeros and ones. So also, Python also has its own compilers. At times we call them IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Those are platforms you can use to write your Python code, and you can use to execute or your Python code. So now you can see I said Python IDEs and code editors. IDEs, the integrated development environments, are different from code editors. Code editors can only be used to write our Python codes or edit them, use them to execute them. But they have some limitations. When it comes to visualization, you can't use code editors to visualize the output of your code. But IDEs have graphical user interface that makes it easy for you to write your code and also visualize the outputs of your code. So we have different Python IDEs and different Python code editors that we can use to write our Python codes and execute them. Examples of Python IDEs are PyCharm. We have the common Jupyter. We have Spider PyDev. We have Turning, Wink. We have Dreamweaver. We have Rodeo. We have PyScripter. We have Collaboratory. Different Python IDEs that we what execute our Python codes. These are different what Python IDEs that we can use to write our Python codes and visualize the output of our code. Now, in addition to these Python IDEs, we still have different Python code editors. We still have different code editors we can use to codes. Examples are what? The Visual Studio Code. We can still use it to edit or write our Python codes. We still have Sublime. We still have Atom. We still have Vim. Those are the different Python IDEs and code editors we can use for to implement our Python codes. So you can see that we have different options. You can see options at our disposal. Now, some of these Python IDEs can be used in online mode, and some can be used in fully online mode, and some can be used in and offline mode. Now, for our training, the stress of installation, attend to that later. Google will be using. Google Collaboratory is an online app that we can use for Python code. So we'll be using Google Collaboratory. Now, it's a fully cloud-based and online platform for writing Python code. So Google Colab, okay, in short, we can call it Google Colab. It's a free cloud-based platform provided. So it is Google that owns Google Colab. Now, it's a platform that allows us to write Python codes, and it has many advantages. As in, it has many advantages. Read softwares or read programs developed by individuals. They are software developed by what? Group of individuals. They are group of, that is, team of developers. So now with Google Colab environment, a team of developers can come together and work on the same problem. And they can easily write the codes together, share the codes among themselves, and also debug the codes among themselves. Now, it is freely available on this link. I've sent a message yesterday to try and navigate how to get to this environment. So we can access it on this environment. Now, let me do that. What will I do to do this? Okay. So now when you go to Google Colab environment, you'll be required to sign in or log in. But if your Gmail is active, it can automatically log you in. You find this environment. You'll get to this environment. So now, after you've gotten to this environment, the only thing you need to do is to click New Notebook. The Jupyter Notebook is the environment that we'll be using to write our codes. So you click New Notebook. And when you click New, it will take you to this environment. So this is the environment we'll be using for our Python code. Now you can see the title. The name of this notebook is called Untitled IPYNB. That is what? Interactive Python Notebook. So this is the environment that I'll be using for Python code. Now, it has several features. Take a look at this code, this plus code. Anytime you want to write your code, you click the plus code, then this yes. You click this point. If you want to write your code, you click this point. When you click this point, it will open, it will generate a cell for you. So you enter your code, this play button. then it will run your code for you. So now, if you want to add a comment, before your code or after your code, you can click this text button or this text button. When you click this text menu, it will highlight this environment for you. So you can click this environment for you, enter your comments. Comments won't be executed. So you can enter your comments here. But if you want to write your code, you can always click the code button, then you write your code here, then you run it to write your code. So this environment you'll be using for Python demonstration. So why do we want to use this environment? Now let me quickly take us through that. Now, when you are in lab environment, you are working directly with the resources provided by Google itself. So you are not using your system resources. That is the advantage. When we were doing Python, when we were doing Power BI, Tableau, many of us had some challenges because of the configuration of our system, because of the size of our RAM, size of our hard disk. So now when you are using Google Colab environment, you are not working on your own system. Your own system is just like an input device, like a keyboard. Every operation you are doing is on what? The resources provided by Google. So that's another environment. So you can't have any issue of low hard disk, low RAM when you are using Google Colab environment. So you have free access to what the graphic processors provided by Google. Now I will show us the RAM. We have access to 10 gig RAM. So because of that, all our machine learning activities will be executed at a faster rate. Now, if you still need more resources, you can now pay or subscribe to get more resources. But the freely available resources is still very, very okay for our task. Yes. Yes. Now, you don't need to set up. No setup is required when you are using Google Colab environment. Now, if you are using the offline IDEs, all those libraries, you have to manually install them one by one. I've seen some people, as in they've been posting some comments, I've not been able to install this, I've not been able to install that. I know I won't be charged to attend to all those comments. But when you're using Google Colab, you don't need to install anything. Everything you need has been pre-installed. Everything we need has been pre-installed. Just call them. Then you are good to go. But we'll still go through now collaborative editing. If a team of 10 programmers are working on the same program, on the same Python project, they can still use the same notebook and edit their codes together. That is what we call collaborative editing. Multiple users can work on the same Colab notebook simultaneously. Now, automatically, your notebook will be stored inside your Google Drive. So there can be issues like, I forgot to save my file, and I lost my code. No. Automatically, per seconds basis, the environment will be saving our work for us. So you don't need to be pressing Ctrl S. Automatically, the environment will be saving our work for us. Now, it has support for popular libraries. Popular libraries are what? Already pre-installed. So you don't need to go through the steps of PP. No. Now, easy sharing. Like now, the notebook I will use for today's demonstration. After the class, I will share it with everybody. So you can open it in your own Google environment and play with it. Easy sharing. Now, when we give you assignments, you also use the Google notebook for it. Then we still send it. Automatically, I'll also be able to open and access it. automatically it will be in your Google Drive. Yes, automatically. It's we have some powerful students online. They will know that class is going on, and they will still be calling the tutor. They will still be calling. Okay, yes. Now, take a look at the last feature. It's integrated with what? Google Gemini AI. That will serve as a what? Coding assistant. The fact is, everything we know about how to use Python for data analysis, we can't learn them in this course or in this program. As in, it's a lifelong lesson. We keep upgrading our knowledge every day. So now when you are writing the code and you don't know, perhaps you don't know how to write a code to solve a particular task, on the right hand side of your Google Colab, you see Google Gemini AI. Just click the Google Gemini AI. You may not even put please. Use the commanding tone. Give me the code for this. It will what? Give it to us free of charge. Then you use them on your stuff. So these are the interesting features that a Google Colab environment has. So now, since we've agreed that we'll be using Google Colab environment for our demonstration, I believe the first thing we need to do when we have a data set to analyze, the first thing we need to do will be to what? Import the data set into our Google Colab environment. So we can load and read data into our Jupyter notebook from various sources. Now, the data can be in different formats. It can be in Excel format, it can be in CSV format, it can be a link. So the first thing we need to do is to import our data sets into a Google Colab environment or provide a link of where it is. I'll do a demonstration of how we can do what we call web scraping. Your data set can be on a particular website. Perhaps you want to lift a table that is on a particular website. You can just provide the link of that website, then it will automatically fetch the table for us. So now when we want to load our data into Google Colab environment, there are two things we must note. Those are what? The format of our data and the file path. The format is our data in CSV form? Is it in JSON form? Is it in Excel format? And the path is what? A description of where the file is located. Is it located on a hard disk? Have we uploaded it directly into Google Colab environment? Is it located on a particular website? So format is the way the data is encoded. Now some common encodings are CSV, JSON, Excel, HTML, and so forth. The path tells us where the data. Usually it is stored either on our computer when we are using or online in the Google Colab environment. So now, how to load data into a Google Colab environment will be the next task. So now let's demonstrate that. Okay. Mhm. So now just type Google Colab environment or just type Google Colab. Now you see this. So this is where we are going. Yeah, it's good now. Audio testing. You can see this is where we are going. I salute them. It is good. There's no problem. They can also use it. Yes. But for this demonstration, let's use, because of all those features I've listed, let's use this. There's no way you use some of data to download Google Colab and you want to use it. So now, the next thing we'll do is to what? We can either create a new notebook or we open our existing notebook. Now let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, these are the different notebooks I've worked with. These are different, you can see these are different notebooks I've worked with. We can click any of the notebook or let me see recent. Okay, there's a particular notebook we'll be using. Okay, let me go and thank God I saved it on my drive. Now, these are the notebooks. These are the notebooks I want us to use these are the already made notebooks I want us to use for the practical demonstration. So I can also upload an existing notebook. IDEs. Yeah. So we can also upload an existing notebook. So now let me click this new notebook. It will open a new notebook for me. StreamYard is offline. Okay, you can see this is my notebook. So let me close this. Now let me try and see the Gemini here I'm talking about. You can see it here. Next, I accept, finish. So now you can see that's the Gemini AI feature if you want to use it. We'll also use it. So now let me try and see. Okay, the settings. Hold on. Now we are using the free version. You can see what? Subscribe for the, yeah, but the one we are using is free. Show us the size. Okay. Yes, I'm not subscribed to any resources. It should be where? Yes, so please be following me. Okay, I'll come back to that later. So now, if I want to add a comment, I'll click text. Okay, practical demonstration. Okay, let me put this in bold. Control A, bold. So now I want to, so I've added a comment or I've added a label. So now I've clicked code. I want to enter a code. Now, Python is a flexible programming environment compared to other programming environments. In some other programming languages, before you write any code, you specify your headers. If it is C, you use hash include this, hash include that. You declare your variables. But here, you don't need to do all that. Immediately you get to the coding environment, you can start performing your operation. Now let's see. Let's assume I want to add. Yes, sir.
After typing the practical demonstration, what do you do?
Code. I click this to enter label. So after that, I click code. So when you click code, it will take you to this environment. So now let me test if that environment is working. I want to add two numbers together. Now I've typed the numbers I want to add together. So after I've finished writing my code, I'll now press this play symbol. My code. So now I'll press this. So you can see it means it's what? Executing my code. You can see it has given me what? It has given me the answer. Any number. Just perform addition operation. Click code and perform any addition operation to test your code environment. You can press 1 plus 1. You know the answer will be 2. So let me see if, okay, I want to type another code. I want to enter another code. Code 1 plus 1. Then I will press this play. Play 2. Now it's working. Let's do that too. I hope you are together. You've been able to do that. So this is the code environment we'll be using. So now, the first thing we need to do is to load our data sets into our Google Colab environment. So now, this is the folder that will contain all our files. Please, let's concentrate. This is the folder that will contain all our files. Now, just click this folder. This folder. This folder. Your left hand side. Yeah, exactly. This folder. Yeah. So when you click that folder, when you click this folder, you see this folder. So this is the folder where all my files, all my working, my data sets will be inside. Please, one else, please. My data set will also be inside this folder. Now, the first step will now be to, as in, let's concentrate. So now, just come here. You can see. Click this. Yes. Then you click upload. Then you go and choose where your data set is. Choose any data set. Data set you've been working with. Just choose any data set you've been working with. So now, let me go back. Let me close this. Go to this folder. Click the folder. Come here. Click upload. Then go and pick your data set. Okay, let me try it. Okay. I hope it's clearer now. Yeah, okay. I want to try as much as possible to carry our online students along. Which software am I using? I'm using Google Colab. Uh, okay, so now this is the folder. Go here, then click upload. Then go and locate this folder will be open. Then go and locate any file. Okay. Let me go and locate any file. Week 1, do I have any data set there? PID, okay. See, data sets. Hands on 2. I believe I've uploaded that. This. Then I'll click open. Okay. Now, let's quickly see this. You can see the Google resources I'm using. I have access to what? That's like 120 gig. There's no way I can do it and it soon block some. So now I've uploaded my data set. Now let me now open the folder. Just click this sample data. You can see the different folders, the different data sets I have. I have practice sheets. I have California housing test, California housing training. This. I recently uploaded this one. I think it's answered. So these are the different data sets I have in my folder. So go and upload any data set you want to use for practical into that folder. So now, let's go back to you check the file, you see it inside this folder. Yes. You see upload. Okay, I uploaded practice sheets. Let me upload hands-on 2. We're also done. As in the kind of data we use does not matter. It doesn't matter. Just so now I want to upload another data set. Hands-on. You can see it's also there. So I believe you all know how to upload a data set into our Google Colab environment now. That's good. So now let's okay, so we've demonstrated how to load our data into our Google Colab environment. So now What we now want to do is what we call exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data analysis is a technique used to understand our data sets. You know, as in when we're working with Excel, before you start any data analysis tasks, you must first understand your data. You must first understand your data before you know the kind of data analysis you want to carry out. So now exploratory data analysis is a technique used to analyze data using some visual techniques. With this technique, we can get detailed information about the statistical summary of our data. When we are carrying out exploratory data analysis, we can use different statistical methods in order to have a better understanding of our data sets. So now a data scientist involves almost 70% of his work in doing what we call exploratory data analysis of our data sets. So now exploratory data analysis involves all these steps. It involves what? Understanding the problem and understanding the data. As a data analyst or business intelligence expert, we will always be asked to solve a problem using a particular data. So the first task in our exploratory data analysis task involves what? Understanding the problem, then what? Understanding the data, so that you know if your data is complete. That is, if your data contains all the information you need in order to solve a particular problem. After that, you import your data into the program environment you want to use, like as we've done with Google Colab. Now, after importing, you inspect. Inspecting involves you confirming that your whole data set has been uploaded. You know, you can have a data set that contains 3,000 rows. After uploading it into your IDE, you still need to inspect if no data has been lost to transit. Now, you handle missing data, you explore data characteristics, you perform different data transformations so as to understand your data better. Now, you visualize the relationship between different columns of your data, between what you start comparing. Now, you handle outliers. Outliers are values that are completely different from other data. For instance, you are playing with a data set that contains different salary of different staff. You now saw the salary of a staff that is like times 10 of the salary of the general manager of that company. You know, that is what an outlier, because the data set is completely different from other data. So now, after that, you communicate your findings and insights, then you reach a particular conclusion. These are the different things we do when we are carrying out exploratory data analysis. Now, the next task will now be to explore different libraries. Python has many libraries that we can use for our data analysis task. Pandas, NumPy, we've talked about it, Matplotlib, Seaborn, scikit-learn. These are the libraries I want to try and ensure we will try and master. So let's start with Python Pandas library. Pandas is an essential library in Python for data analysis. Python is an essential library in Python used for data analysis. It has robust tools to manipulate and explore data. Now, the reason why Pandas is the best for data analysis is because it can easily accommodate our data sets in tabular formats. So that's the reason why Pandas is the best. If your data set, our data set will always be in tabular format, at least a structured format. So once it's in a tabular format, that is, it has different rows and different columns, you can easily use Pandas for it. You know, I once said, if you want to use NumPy, it will only operate on data that is in form of array or matrices. So if it is NumPy you want to use, you have to convert your data in Excel format, in tabular format, into an array or matrix. We'll still see that, we'll still demonstrate that. So Pandas has two data structures, data frames and series. Now, a data frame has two dimensions. A data frame has two dimensions. So that means it can accommodate any data that has rows and column. But now, series is a one-dimensional array. It can accommodate data that has rows and column. So now, so this means that for our data analysis task, we'll be using data frame structure of Pandas. Why do we want to use data frame? Because our data is always in tabular form. It has rows and column. So now, Pandas can be used to accommodate data that are in tabular form or in one-dimensional array. So now, why do we love to use Python libraries? It has different functions. And we said those functions are what? Embedded codes that has been written for us. Every library contains different functions and different methods. So we can now use those functions for different tasks without writing many codes. It's not as if we won't write code, but it won't be too much. So let's explore different functions we have in Pandas. Number one is what? The read function. The read function will be used to read the content of our data set. I think that's the first thing. We need to what? After uploading our data set, we need to read the content of our data set so that we know the features of our rows and the features of our column. So anytime you want to read the content of your uploaded data set, you use this read function. And take a look at the read function. This particular one is what? Read underscore CSV. So that means my data is in what? CSV format. So if it's in Excel format, it will be real underscore Excel. If it's in JSON format, it will be real underscore JSON. So I'll still tell us how to read from other formats. Now, we also have the head function or tail function. At times we still do call function method. So head function or tail function. You know, after you've uploaded your data into your Google Colab environment, the next thing you need to do is to what? Inspect your data. Inspecting your data means you want to check if your data is complete. If your data is incomplete, the result of your data analysis will be faulty. So we must use what? We can always use this head and tail method to inspect the completeness of our data set. So when you use the head function, you want to check what? By default, the first 5. But if you are interested in checking the first 10 rows of a column, you put 10 inside that bracket. We'll demonstrate it. Now, if you want to check the last 5 rows of a data set, you use the what? The tail method. Now, Pandas also have info method. If you want to generate the summary of your data set, you can use the what? The info method. Now, Pandas also have what we call the describe method. If you want to generate the descriptive analysis of your data, you can use what? Describe method. These are different functions we have in Pandas library. So now, when I want to start my program, the first thing I will need to do is I will first import the particular library I want to use. You know, we have many libraries. I will have to tell my IDE that, okay, for this task, I want to use this library. So how will I tell my IDE in a program or in a language the IDE will understand? I will use the keyword import. So I will import that particular library. So you can see we've started with Pandas. So if you want to use any of these functions in Pandas, we have to import Pandas library. A library contains many functions. So if you want to use any function inside a library, the first thing you do is what? Is to import that library. So now, okay. Now, if you want to import a library, what's the command? Import pandas as PD. Now, PD is any identifier. It can be any word. PD is what? Any identifier. But if you check any online resource, they always use PD. That is the functions inside library, inside Pandas library. Let us represent them with identifier PD. You see the application as we go on. Now, remember I said that after we've uploaded our data, you must always tell your IDE where your data is located. And that means you must specify the path. You must tell your IDE how your IDE will locate your data sets. Now take a look at this. This is the path. This is the location of that particular data set in this instance. The data set you work on here is in this web address. So this is the web address of where my data is. So that web address, you can save it inside this identifier URL. So here you want to use URL to save the path of your data. That is the link to your data, where your data is located. You want to save it inside this URL. It's not important you should use URL. You can use path. You can use location. So now, after I've informed my IDE the location of my data, the first thing I now need to do will now be what? To load my data, to read my data. Now take a look at the syntax. You know, we said this function is inside pandas. And we don't want to be saying pandas.read, pandas.that in our program. We said, okay, represent pandas with PD. So now this PD means this is my pandas library. Read underscore CSV. This is the function inside pandas library. So now this is the location where my data set is. Now, it's not enough for me to use URL. I can put the whole address inside this bracket, but you know it should be cumbersome. So that's the reason why it is written this way. So now, after we've now read this CSV file, where should we save the content of our CSV file? We want to save it inside this DL. It's also an identifier. It can be any name. But we are using DL to represent that, okay, we are saving data inside a data frame. In fact, you can even write it out in full. I hope you understand those steps. We will still demonstrate them. I want to give us the background information. Okay, if you are interested in loading your data without the header, you can use this syntax. You know, it's still the same thing. After the URL, you now said, okay, header equals none. That is, ignore the header. But for data syntax, we always need the header, because the header will always describe the data we have in other rows. Let me check our online students. Are they following? Okay, so now these are the different syntax for loading different, for reading different data in different formats. If your data is in CSV form, you use what? PD means Pandas. Dot, this is the function. Read CSV. My data is in JSON format. Read JSON. My data is in Excel format. Read my data that is in Excel format. Now this is another score. If you use hyphen, it will generate error. So this is another score. Now, if my data is in SQL format, read SQL. Now, after we can still manipulate the content of our data sets. We can create a new column. We can generate a derived column. As you know, we can add two columns together to generate a new column. So after we've done all those computations, we may now need to save our data sets. That is our originally uploaded data set. We can still carry out some computations on it. So after carrying out those computations, we need to save it. So anytime we want to save, this will be the syntax to save our data sets. I hope you understand. Yes. Okay. Now we want to start the demonstration. So now let me go back. Let me check my online people. They are here. Okay. So now I want to upload an already prepared notebook. That notebook I'll be giving us after this class. So you don't need to stress yourself. You will use it for your own practical too. That's the essence of using them. Okay. New notebook. Upload notebook. Browse. It's in my flash drive. Python. Okay, we are starting with Pandas. We'll still work with NumPy Matplotlib. Let's see how far we can go. We will stop when you are tired. When you are tired, that's when we'll stop. Aha. Okay. You can see we have a lot to do. See. Because you will say we've not been doing practical, we've not been doing practical, you now do practical today and you'll be fine. So now, let's start with this. I want to use Pandas library. The first thing I need to do is to, okay, you know, I've demonstrated how to upload a data set. Now, this is the folder. Let's wait. See the sample data. See, I'm using this California housing data set. I'm using this California housing data set. Okay. So now, I want to use Pandas library. The first thing I need to do will be to what? Import the library. You can see the reason why import is in this purple column. It's because it was a keyword. Keywords are identifiers that have predefined meaning. You can't use them anyhow because they have an inbuilt meaning in this Python environment. So when you want to use any word and you see that word in this column, it is what? A no-go area because it has an already programmed meaning for Python. So import means you want to import a library. So you can't use it as another thing. But now, if I change this to import, it is no more a keyword. I can use this as my identifier. But once I add T, it has an inbuilt meaning. It is now a keyword. That means you want to import a library. So anytime you want to import a library, you use what? This import. You can see import. Now, what's the name of the library you want to import? Pandas. If I want to import matplotlib, I'll type matplotlib. If I want to import numpy, I will type numpy. If I want to import cbun, I will type cbun. If I want to import any library, I'll just type import the name of the library. So now, I don't want to be using pandas. I can represent it with anyone. So now, import pandas as PD. So that means in my program, instead of using pandas.this, pandas.that, I'll be using pd.this, pd.that. So this should be the first line of our program. You specify the library you want to import. Now, how will you know the library you want to import? The task you want to do will specify the library to be imported. If my data set is in array format, I will import numpy. If my data set is in tabular format, pandas is the best for it. So now I will import this. So the second task will now be what? Specify the location of your data set. So now, let me now show us how I retrieve the location of my data set. I will go to my library. This is the data set I want to use. CO. I will come here, then I will click what? Copy path. You know, this is the best approach. Your data set could be inside a flash drive. It will be in your hard disk. Copy it inside the Google Colab environment. I hope you understand. Copy it inside the Google Colab environment. Now, specify the location. You know, I can still create other folders. It can be in, I can have multiple folders. So I must specify where my ID will locate my data set. So now, okay, now let me do this. Copy path. Let me delete this. Then let me now paste. I will use Ctrl V so that you will know that I'll read this. I thought there's a paste function. It is Ctrl V I'm used to. Ctrl V. I've pasted the link. So I've specified where my ID will locate my data set. So now the third task will now be to what? To read my data set. That is to fetch the content of my data set. That will be the next task. Now, what's the function to use? Read CSV. Now, the reason why I'm reading this, I'm using read CSV is because my data set, see the data set, the name of the data set, California_housing_test.csv. It is in comma separated format. Had it been it's in XLSX, Excel format, I would have used what? Read Excel. I hope you understand. So now, PD, blah, 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 then I will read. Okay. So, I now want to, let me run these 3 lines of code and see what will happen. If I want to run the 3 lines of code, I will come here. I will now click this run. It will run those 3 lines of code. So when I run it, you know, when you use the read, I want to use this to, when I run this, it will print, it's supposed to print the whole contents of my data set. But my data set is large. Imagine it contains what? 3,000 rows. Imagine if I want to print 3,000 rows. So our Google Colab environment will not print all the 3,000 rows for us. It will just give us the first 5 and the last 5 rows. This is what we call inspecting our data sets. Instead of displaying all the data sets, the content of the data set, it will give us an overview. first 5 and the last 5. Now, there are different ways. So from this, I've been able to know that, okay, my data set contains what? 3,000 rows and 9 columns. Now, there are still other ways of viewing the contents of our data set. Please let me check our online. Okay, can we still? 75 is okay. So now, let's see this line of code. It's still similar to what we've done. You know, once you've loaded your data set, once you've done this first task, in this notebook, you don't need to repeat them again. You don't need to, anytime you want to write another code, you don't need to still import pandas, specify the facts, in as much as it's still this notebook you are using. So now, I can still write it this way. This output, the output of this operation, I can still save it inside this identifier, df. That is what I've done here. You know, here, I just execute this line of code directly. Instead of executing it directly, I can still save this line of code inside this identifier, df. Then I will say print df. It's still the same task I want to achieve. So now it will give me what? An overview of my data set. Now, in our data frame, we still have another function we call add function. If you want to check the first 5 rows in your data set, you use this add function. You know, this df means my data frame. Then I'll specify the function, data frame.add. Then I will print it. Hold on. df is not defined. Okay. The reason why it said that was because I jumped this. I did not refresh the memory of my notebook. So now come here. df.add. So it has given me an overview. So now let's now do this. See, once you use your mouse pointer to touch the end of this code, it will give you this option. Do you want to create a new code or you want to create a label? I want to create a new code. So I will now want to try this df.add. I want to view what? The first 10 lines of my data set. You know, it will always give you suggestions. You can see it has given me suggestions. Did I want to view the first 10 lines? Just press tab, the first 10 lines. Then I'll press this word, run. So you can see it has given me an overview. It has generated the first 10 lines of my code. If you are interested in viewing the first, let's view the first 7 lines. Code. Hold on. df.add. Not 10. 7 lines. I want to view the first 7 lines of my code. I will run it. You can see it has given me what? An overview of the first 7 lines. That's what we use add function to do. We use add function to view some number of rows in a. So now the next function we want to play with is what? The tail function. If no maximum. Okay. There is no limit. But if it is too long, it will truncate it. But I don't know the actual point at which it will truncate it. But we can try it. That is why I brought this system. It has, if I'm using the smaller one, it can be slow. So now let's try what he said. Let's do what Yoruba people used to call Asheju, overdo. Let's view. Somebody said 1,000. Okay. Let be 1000. It will truncate. You can see. It's because it's the first 5 and the last 5. But this is not all the content of the data set. Okay, now the next function is what? Tail. If you want to inspect the last rows of a column, it is also for us to inspect so that we be sure that you imported your complete data set. So df.tail. If you do not specify any number of rows, it will give you what? The last 5. Run. It will give you what? The last. It has given me what? It's still running. The last 10 rows of my data set. Now, the next function we want to play is what? df.info. It will give you an overview of our data set. Now, let's run this. So now, take a look at this. What's the range index? I have what? 3,000 entries from what? Cell 0 to cell 2,999. How many data columns? I have a total of 9 columns. Now, you can say it will give me the name of all the columns. Column 1, longitude, latitude, house median range, total rooms, total bedroom, population, household, median income, median house value. Now, it will still not let me know if any of those columns contains empty values. If any of those columns is empty, it will let me know the number of empty values in each column. But now I have 3,000 entries, and here I have, it's telling me that none of my column is empty. That's why I have 3,000 here. Dot what? Yes. Did you close the bracket? df.ed. This? What's the error? And that means you've not come here. That means you've not implemented this. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Yes, what do you want to use df for? Df equals control. So now let's run this. They're not connected. But that's the reason why. Okay. Please, let's move on now. We have many libraries to explore. And I will give you the notebook after the class for your own practice. Is comfort about the comfort? Please, let's move on. So now, .info, it will tell me the total number of entries in each column, the number of entries that are what empty, and to also tell me what the data type of the values in those entries. Our data types under Python, it will be object, it will be float. When it floats, it means it has a decimal number. It will also be integer if it doesn't have a decimal number. It will be string. So now, after that, we can generate a descriptive analytics or a descriptive analysis of our data sets by using what? Describe function. Describe function will generate what? The descriptive analysis of your data set. And descriptive analysis involves what? Computing what? It will compute count, mean, standard deviation, the minimum value, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, blah, blah, blah. So let's do that. df.describe. Describe means generate a descriptive analysis of my data set for me. So it has done that for us. Now, okay, let's take a break. Assume that I don't know how to generate descriptive analysis of my data set. This one, okay, see where, okay. Now take a look at this. See resources I'm using free of charge. I'm using what? This like 15 gig. I was even, let's say this is what? Like 13 gig RAM. And I have access to what? Like 107 hard disk. Google has given me what? 13 gig RAM and 107 hard disk. Is our own RAM up to 100 and is it up to 100? Is it up to 10 gig? So that's one of the advantages of using this Google Colab environment. So now, another additional feature we have is this Gemini AI. I don't know how to generate descriptive analysis of my data set. Give me a code to no greetings. Compute the okay, give me a code to compute the descriptive analysis of my data sets. Okay, Gemini is thinking for me. You can see it has given me the what? It has given me the code. I'll just copy and test. This is the code now. df.describe. There's nothing I can do. Okay, let's move on. Now, take a look at this. I added a label. If you want to compute duplicates, you want to check duplicates values in a data set. Pandas has a function for that. That is what? Duplicated. So if you now type df.duplicated, it will examine all your data sets and it will tell you the values that are duplicated. So now when I run df.duplicated, it has scanned through all the data sets and it's telling me that there are no duplicate value. The data set uploaded is a cleaned data set. That is why. So there are no duplicate value. Now, data also has another function called the art function. Art function can be used to retrieve data located in a particular location in a data set. You want to fetch, you want to view data located in a particular location in a data set, you can use this art function to do that. Now, you have to specify what? The position. That is the location of that data set. And you also specify what? The name of the column. So now when I said, so after specifying the position of the data set and the colon header, you can now use this syntax, df.art, then you specify the position, then the label. So that means it should what? Fetch the data located in this cell number of this column. Fetch the data located in this cell number present in this column. So when I print the output, I will have this. Now let me go back to this data set. Take a look at this. I want to fetch this data set. I want to fetch data in cell 2 under column, total column. I can use that art function to do that. So to do that, I'll specify what is the number of the cell, the position of the cell 2, in which column header, total column, total rows header, and that's what 3589. So that is why I have. That's why I have 3589 here. I will give us the notebook too. Comments. There are comments. That's why we put this hash. Now, if I put hash, you can see it will give me error. Yeah. It's still the same syntax. Now, we've explored some pandas function. These are not all the pandas function. We can explore all the pandas function in this class. So I will give us a link that contains all the pandas function. In fact, pandas also have their own website. On their website, you can download their user guide. If you want to learn more, of course, we need to learn more about how to use pandas. It has a complete, voluminous user guide. The link is in the lecture notes. So now let's talk about pandas attributes. Pandas have some attributes. Attributes are what? Some properties of our data set. We can use pandas attribute to view some properties of our data set. For instance, colon is a property. If you want to view the headers of your data set, and it is important, you can use this colon property. Okay. Attributes. Pandas attributes are used to view the properties of a data set. Pandas function are used to carry out some computations on our data set. Pandas attributes are used to view the properties of our data set. But Pandas functions are used to carry out some computations. Like now, pd.describe. You want to generate what? The descriptive analytics or analysis of from our data set. So now, if you want to view the header of our data set, you want to carry out a computation and you want to know the names of the headers in our data set, you can use this colon attributes, df dot colon. You can see it will give me what? All the attributes. Now, when you want to do your own practice, use a different data set. Use a different data set and experiment all these functions and attributes and see what the outputs will be. So now, with this, these are the what? These are the attributes of my, these are the headers in my data set. And take a look at this. This data type is called what? Data type. So it's not telling me that the headers are what? The data type is what? Objects. String. Yes. So now let's go ahead. Another attribute is called what? Axis. If you want to view the values of rows and columns, now you can use axis. df.axis. You can see it will give me what? The range of the values in my column. The value starts from what? In my column, it starts from what? 0. Stop at what? 3,000. How many steps? 1. Now, what are now the headers? These are the words. These are the headers. Now, data types means what? I want to know the data types of the values of each in each column. You can use data types to compute the data types. So we now have what? These are the data types in colon longitude. The data types, the data are what? Floating point data. Floating point data are numeric data that contains decimal numbers. Now, shape. If you want to know the total number of rows and columns in your data set, you can use what? The shape attributes. df.shape. It will compute what? The total number of rows and columns. So now I have what? 3,000 rows and 9 columns in my data set. Now, if I want to know the number of dimensions, dimensions specify the number of, what will I call it? Like the shape. Now, my data is in tabular format and it only contains rows and columns. So that is what? 2 dimensions. So that's why we have this. Index is used to display the range of values in a data set. df.index. The range starts from what? 0 and stops as what? 3,000. Then the step is what? 1. Now, it's still possible for me to add a new column to my data set. In my Excel that I've uploaded, I can add a new column. Perhaps I want to generate the age of my customers from, and I have a set that contains their date of, that contains a year of birth. So I want to carry out some operations between 2 columns, and I want to put the results in a new column, and I want that column to be inside my Excel sheet, so I can still add a new column. So now take a look at this. This is the syntax I will use to specify the new column. Now this is the name of the new column, population in millions. It can be any identifier. Now there are some rules we need to note if you want to use any identifier in programming. Number 1, there mustn't be a space. If we check all the names of the headers, now if I write it this way, it's even worse. That's one of the flexibility of Python. In other programming languages, you can't put space. A value that is fire must not have space, but in Python, anything goes. It's case sensitive. In other programming languages, when you write a line of code, you terminate it with a semicolon, but Python says don't bother. So now, this is the new colon I want to add. Populations in million. So what are the values that should be placed inside that new column? The content of population column, divided by what? 1 million. Put the results inside this new column. Then if I print this, I will have this. Now let's do this. I believe I did it. Okay. No. I want to view the columns. Let me now view I've added a new column. Let me now view df.columns. You can see. You can now see that I now have a new column that has been added. Okay. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Now, my data set is in tabular format. And my data set is in tabular format. And I've been using Pandas. I now said if I want to use NumPy on my data set, I must convert it into array format. So now I can use df.values to convert my data set into array format. Now take a look at how it will be. So that is why I have this. Now it has displayed my data set. It has converted my data set in tabular format into what? An array format. So that I can carry out any NumPy calculation on this. So now I want to save my data set. To save my data set, I'll use this line of code. df.csv. My data set in CSV, and I want to save it. I'll use this line of code to save it.
Sorry. In the place where you added columns, just one column you added.
Yes.
At the end, I saw that the total was 11 columns. So
let's check.
It was 9 from app 1.
I was playing with it. I put space. When initially I said I want to check if it will accept this, and I put space and I executed the code, it has added it. So that's easy. Exactly. So it added it twice. That's why we have this. We can drop a column. I will get the. Okay. Hold on. Now, give me a code. Now it has what? Gemini has given me the code. Gemini have given me the code to drop that. So now let's use it. Let's check. Okay. Axis refers to the rows index. Yeah. So now let's try and see how it will work. What's the colon name? Okay, so now let's view. You can see it as what? It has what? It has dropped that column. So while working, if you have any issues, don't chat me up. Chat Gemini up and ask your question. Okay? Don't chat me up. Don't chat me up. Just chat Gemini up and ask your question. Apologies to those who thought class will be starting by 2 p.m. We've posted the information on the Telegram channel that it will be starting by 11:30. So now we've saved our data set. Now you can also what? Rename the columns in your data set. If you want to rename the columns in your data set, you can use this syntax. You can use this syntax. Populations in million. This is the whole header name. I want to change it to this. Now, we can also use this function to list the headers, to list the columns in a data set. So when you run this, now, okay, please let's use okay, hold on. It must be the same. Yeah. I want to check. Okay, let me close this. But I think it's still the same. Can we take a break? Somebody said, ask that question online. And another person said, break is personal. Take a walk. Take a walk and return. Yeah. Okay. Give me a code to rename my column. It's still the same syntax. Okay, I ignore this. I was the one that deleted this. Yeah. So it was because of this. Yes. Without creating a copy. It tampers with it carries out the computation on the data set directly. So now we can still carry out some computations on our data sets. If you want to get, you can still carry out some computations, some mathematical computations. You want to generate the mean, the median, the mode. You can still do that. This. Yes. Now, descriptive, when we use df.describe, it will carry out descriptive analysis of the whole data set. If you're not interested in carrying out the mean of a particular column, of just one column, you can still do that. Now, this is the syntax. Take a look. You specify the header of the column, then you use this syntax. You can see df.population.mean. We can use it to what? To generate. Now this is the what? This is the column name, the name of the column. Now this is the function mean. Now this means this should be printed out. Yes. No, this means this should be printed out. Let's say, let me change this to anything you put in quotation will be displayed. So this is your mean. Then this is the variable that contains the calculation. I hope you are together. I hope you are getting it. So the assignments will now be, I'll give you this notebook. You now use a different data set to test all those functions. But it's an assignment you won't submit. Yes. We can also compute the median. Now, web scraping. If you want to extract a table from a web address, if you want to extract a data from a web address, that's what we call web scraping. Now, this is the syntax. That means you want to read from what? An HTML document. So far we've been reading from what? A CSV document or an Excel document. So now we want to extract the content of a web address. It will be what? Read_HTML. So you now specify the website you want to extract the data set from. Control C. Or you want to extract the data from. It's still under data mining too. It's one of the steps. Okay, now take a look at this is the link. This is the web address. We want to scrape from data, extract from data, from the tables. You can see this is the first table. It has just one column, 2 rows. This is another table. Column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has many So this is column 2. This is table 2. We still have another table. This is table 3, table 4, table 5, table 6, table 7, table 8, table 9, table 10. We have 10 tables in this on this website. So now you specify the link. Now you use this index to specify the exact table, the table number. So when it's 1, that means I want to extract data from the second table. So now let's print this. Now let's change this to 0. This is the first table. pd.read, then you specify the read_html, then you specify the web address. So now let's now check the website. Title, author, publisher, date, length, plots, ref. It must be in a tabular form. Yes. You know, Pandas deals with data in tabular form. It must be in tabular form. Let me ask them. Oh, I thought I am. So we have to use a different library for it. Beautiful scope. Now, when you are dealing with it, when you are extracting information from a website, that's when you use this request library, import request. So these are the libraries we use for it. Everything is possible. Just ask. You can still extract an image. But the image will be converted into numbers. Yes. Okay, but you can download it as an image. Okay, so that's that. So now we can still carry out some computations like correlation. If you want to carry out correlation on your data set, you can still use this function. This is another additional function, df.correlation. So when you do this, it won't be possible. That's why you have requests. The request can be denied depending on the security feature of that website. Yes. No. That's not legal when you've been denied. But it is possible. Eh, it is possible. So that's that. You can see it has generated, it has computed the correlation is used to view how each column are related to one another. Yes, to view how each column are related to one another. Now, the beauty of you using this platform and you having Gemini by your side is you can use it, you can now use it to interpret this correlation. Okay, what does minus 0.92 means? If my correlation is positive, what's the meaning? If my correlation is less than 1, what's the meaning? If it is negative, what's the meaning? So that's why I said we have what? Perfect, good, and bad correlation. If it's 1, that means it's perfect. If you are carrying a correlation between columns of the same values, see, longitude and latitude, 1. Latitude and latitude, 1. This and this, 1. So now it's like I thought I did that. Now this is a good correlation. Yes, this is a good correlation. That is, there is a relationship between the total number of rooms and total number of bedrooms. If there are many rooms in a building, there is a high probability that the number of rooms will be many. Is it possible for you to have 7 living rooms and you have 2 bedrooms? No. The bedrooms will be more than. So that's what you use correlation to do. So it depends on the task, as in your analysis, the type of analysis to be carried out will depend on what the task at hand. So now it's not possible for us to envisage or predict all the tasks that you can come across. So that's the reason why the approach we are using is not as if we are giving you the fish, we are giving you the net. We don't know the kind of data analysis tasks that they will ask you to do for your first or second contract you will win. Because it is just so certain. After this training, there will be several testimonies. You've won this contract, blah, blah, blah. When you are winning the contract, just remember us. So if you are faced with any task, you know that, okay, I want to use Python for it. You have Gemini AI by your side. You can walk your way through. As in, that's the benefit of using AI. It can what? You can walk your way through. I will still show you what I. Okay, now we can still carry out some visualizations with Pandas. We can still what? Carry out some visualizations with Pandas. Now, Pandas uses plot method to create diagrams. Okay, I can even send the draft self. Sorry. Please let me quickly send this to that person.
Please give me a minute.
Okay. Okay. I will know more. Okay, now. Runtime disconnected. Okay. Now, when you see runtime disconnected, that means you need to refresh your notebook. When you see runtime disconnected, that means perhaps you've been offline for some time, so you need to refresh your notebook. You can't run every. Okay, you can refresh at once like this from here. Okay, so now if you want to plot, Control PM, Control B, Control Z. Now, when we want to visualize, the best library to use is matplotlib and Seaborn. Can be used for visualization. They can be used for visualization. Now I have a different. Am I here already? Now it's possible for us to use more than one library together. You can see that so far we've been using Pandas. What have we used Pandas to do? We've used Pandas to extract our data from our Excel sheets into Pandas data frame. And we've been using several Pandas functions to carry out different exploratory data analysis on our data sets. So now, if you now want to use matplotlib, we can use the pyplot function in matplotlib to visualize our data. But where is the data? The data has been extracted into Pandas data frame as DF. So that means we'll be using what? Both the matplot function and DF function for visualization. So now I want to visualize my data. The functions for visualization are inside matplotlib library. So the next thing I will have to do is to what? Is to import that library. So now this is the library I want to use to visualize my data. matplotlib.pyplot. So I want to import it as what? PLT. So that I won't have need to be writing this anytime I want to use the code. So this means that anywhere you see PLT, it's still the same thing as what? matplotlib.pyplot. So now, when you want to visualize, you have to select different columns you want to visualize. Visualization is all about plotting the values in one column against another value in another column, another value in another column. So now you have to specify which values will be in the X column and which value will be in the Y column. Which one is even X column? X axis. X. I know some people will make mistakes. Some people said X is this. I don't agree. Premise school. I understand. So you have to specify which values will be in the X axis and which value will be in the Y axis. I also need to specify the type of graph you want to use. So now take a look at the syntax. This means I want to use what? Scatter graph. Total room should be in the X axis. Total bedroom should be in the Y axis. So this is the syntax. We don't really need to cram. As in, we have a lot of things to use. We don't need to cram. If you even don't know the syntax to use, Gemini is at the right hand side. Give me the code to do this. Shikena, no stress. So now, if I want to view my graph, I'll now use plot.show to view my graph. The assignment will be all the functions and attributes we've interacted with. Pick any data set of your choice. Do the same. Manipulate. If you make any mistake, press Ctrl Z and try again. Thank God for Ctrl Z. So this is scatter plot. If the plot is not, if this graph is not good, still change the kind of graph to another graph. You can see I use what? Histogram. Hist. If you want to use histogram, you use what? Hist. Then it will give me the histogram. Take a look at this. I want to use bar chart to plot longitude against latitude. Now, why do I have this graph this way? Okay. Why do Gemini? It is possible. I'm going there. I'm going somewhere. So now take a look at this. The reason why I have this graph this way was because I plotted the graph of 3,000 latitude against 3,000 longitude. So now I can you can see that's why it's this cumbersome. I can specify that, okay, just plot first 10 rows of latitude against first 10 rows of longitude. So now I will have to specify. This is where I specified the number of rows. Just 10, not 3,000 against 3,000. So now take a look at this. This is what I have, the first 10. I hope you understand. If anything is bothering your mind, as in ask what Gemini. Now, see, when I plotted this, this means plot 3,000 values of longitude against 3,000 values of latitude. Then I have this. Anything I ask the program to do, I write the program for, it will do it for me. But now I specify, I've used this to specify that just give me first 10. Now, let me copy this and let's change it to first 5. First 5. You can see, first 5. Now, here are some of the other chart types you can plot in Pandas along with their syntax. Okay, when I wanted to stop here, I was just like, okay, I just asked Gemini this question. Give me a list of different blah, 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 blah. So nobody knows it all, as in, ask Gemini. I just asked Gemini, give me the list of all charts. If I ask, it must provide the answer. You can see. So it's not as if I wrote everything orphaned. Nobody is a genius. Now AI, everybody they use. Yeah. Yes. No, its map is not in, it's in C1. Yes. So now, any question you have, just ask. You know, the era of teaching programming from scratch is over. Even when we are teaching programming in class now, we will inputting AI into it. Because at the end of the day, we know that the students, they will eventually use it. When you give them any task, they won't use their brain, they will just ask AI. They will just ask AI. They will just ask AI. So now, and there's nothing we can do about it. We just need to regulate its usage. So even in class, we've been teaching them how they can use it to perform different calculations beyond, so they can't limit their understanding to what they are taught inside class. So we are now teaching them that they should think outside the class, as in the sky is white. Yeah. Yeah, it was if you've been following, sorry for the digression, if you've been following the US election, now if you want to search for any information about Trump on Google, you may not find it. You may not find it. And you know, Elon Musk is supporting Trump. Elon Musk just asked a question via a tweet. He said, should I buy Google? I was like, anything is possible. If you have the money, you can want, yeah, you can buy it. This university, you can buy it. Just with the owner. I want to give you times 10. Yeah, it's a good business. Yeah. So that was what I used to generate. This is what I used to generate all this. So what you can achieve since you have a coding assistant. Now, what Gemini, the function of Gemini under this Google Colab environment is just to generate code for you. If you ask Gemini discussions outside generating code, it won't give you a response. It's majorly to what? To assist you in code generation. Yes. And I believe it's a good thing. Okay, so please so with that, we've come to the end of this Pandas practical. So let's explore. So in the I want to check if okay. So now the user guide. that contains detailed information on how to use pandas for any activities is on this pandas website. Pandas.5data.org. You can get the user guide. It has many functions that we can't discuss. We can't exhaust it. So it has visit this site to get full documentation on. But my own approach to learning is always project based. What I learn part time it depends on the task at hand. You know, you can't learn everything. It's just like you want to speak English fluently. I want to memorize the whole dictionary. As in, why? When there is a task at hand, you know that's a challenge. I now come up with how to meet that challenge. So that's my own style of learning. So that's what we want to explore about pandas. Okay, I can save a copy on my Google Drive. Okay. As in, me, I'm looking forward to a day when I will break Guinness Book of Record for the longest lecture. And I'm now looking for the students that will support me. 24 hours. It's like the longest is three days. It can be. Yeah. You know, it is when my legs start shaking that I will know that I need to stop. Okay. So after that, I want to briefly introduce NumPy, if there is time. If there is time. Some people have been saying no, there should be a limit, but I'm looking for somebody to second the motion that we should postpone the class. So, yeah, yes. Now, if you want to work with arrays, pandas is the best. So that means if you want to do mathematical computations on data that is in form of arrays, that's when that's when NumPy is the best. NumPy means numerical Python. If you want to carry out any mathematical computations and your data is in form of arrays, that's when you can now use NumPy is the best. But you know our data set is in form of a table. So as in pandas in conjunction with matplotlib and other libraries are the best. But let's just see an overview of what NumPy is all about. It's a Python library used for working with arrays, especially in the field of linear algebra, Fourier transform, matrices. Okay, for those using the offline version, you use pip install NumPy. You can see this is an array. This a 0 dimension, a 1 dimension array, a 2 dimension array, a 3 dimension array of matrix. So the first thing you need to do is to what? You import the library you want to use. Still the same syntax. Import NumPy. As what? It's not anymore, it should be NP. You can even use DF. But it can confuse you or your other thing. That's the reason why we always want to use a registered word, NP. So now these are different. I want to generate the number of dimensions of this array. This is the syntax for doing that. Then it's give me the number of dimension. So now, like I said earlier, you can always use the libraries together. I've imported pandas, I've imported NumPy. Now I'll use pandas to import my data from an Excel into my Google Colab environment. So now I've used pandas to view the first 10 elements. So now if I now want to convert my data into an array, I'll use what? df.toNumPy function. I want to convert my data set into array format. I'll use df dot to numpy function. You can use both. You can use dot to numpy. It's still the same thing as you use both to achieve the same task. To convert your data set in a tabular format into an array format. Okay, so we have this. So now you can. I want to try and compute descriptive analysis of my data. If it were to be pandas, I will just use df dot describe and it will generate the whole data set, descriptive analysis for me. But if I want to use numpy, there is no one function, no single function you can use to generate descriptive analysis. So that's how you know that if you want to carry out descriptive analysis, numpy is not the best. So now, if I want to generate okay, I've used this tool. If I want to generate descriptive analysis, I will do it one by one. I want to compute the mean. Numpy.mean, I'll specify the name of the. So you can see there is no single function in NumPy that I can use to compute descriptive analysis of my data set. I'll have to be doing it one by one. You generate the mean using np.mean, median, np.median, standard deviation, you use np.std, minimum value, max value, percentile, blah, blah, blah. So that is why NumPy is used for what? Scientific computations. When your data is in arrays, you can use NumPy. But when your data is in tabular form, as in pandas, is the best. Okay, if you want to carry out mathematical computations like exponential distribution, as it involves mathematical computations, you can use NumPy. Okay, if I want to carry out exponential, I want to generate exponential distribution between the total rooms and total bedrooms. The mathematicians among us, we know that the first thing we need to know, we need to calculate the lambda for the exponential distribution. And the lambda is always the inverse of the mean. So I use this to calculate, don't leave me here, to calculate the lambda. Then after that, you generate random numbers. So then you can now begin to view your data set. So that is, you don't really use NumPy for data analysis. So that is why I didn't go far in this. Now, when you want to carry out visualization, matplotlib is the best. When you want to carry out visualization, matplotlib is the best. Okay, yeah. So let me just do view demonstration. Now, I have to import pandas. I need pandas to view, to read my data sets. So I will import pandas. Now, what do I want to use matplotlib for? For visualization. So I will import the libraries I need, pandas and matplotlib. I will specify what? The path to where my data set is. So I can I can inspect my data set by viewing what? The first 5 rows in my data set. I use df.axis to view the headers. I always need the headers of my column because if I want to do computations, I need to know specify the column headers. So now I want to plot the first 10 rows in column total rooms against column population. This will be the syntax. You know, if I remove this 10, it will plot 3,000 against 3,000, and it won't be, I won't be able to view it very well. So I will use this to specify the number of rows I want to plot. So now, what should be on the x-axis? I'll specify. Total rows should be on the x-axis. Plot.ylabel, population should be on the y-axis. What should be the title? This should be the title of my graph. Then plot.show will be used to display the graph. So let's change this to 5. I would like to change this to 15. Okay. So now, okay, I need to run this. Okay. You can see, Gemini is giving me an idea. Do I want to generate code with df, view recommended plots, blah, blah, blah. So it will give me an idea of things I can do. Okay. So now I said first 15. You can see it has given me the plots. So is this graph meaningful? I don't think so. That means this is not the best graph for such visualization. So now I can still use line charts. It's almost the same syntax. But now, I'm trying to see. So I'll specify the x-axis, what should be on the x-axis and what should be on the y-axis. So now, okay, I've used this. Okay, I use this as a case study, XYZ for a line chart. So this is for a bar chart. So for a bar chart, it will be what? Plot.bar. I'll specify the total number of rows. I'll specify the index. What will be the column that will be at the x-axis, the column that will be at the y-axis, the title of my bar. Now the title is not a must. If I don't put this, it won't be there. It's not a must. It should be there. So I will specify if there should be legend. You know, in the previous example, I didn't put this. So let me run this. So you can see my chart has no heading. So if I want an header, I'll put it. So you can see it has an header. It is stressful. Yeah. The major aspect where we need Python is when we want to do predictive analysis that involves the use of machine learning for prediction. That's the major aspect where we can, you know, what we've done in this program is to expose you to different tools you can use for different data analysis tasks. So at the end of the day, you will not be the one to decide on the best tool for a particular task. Now, when it comes to data cleaning, you can see that so far I've not talked about how to use Python for data cleaning. It will cause confusion. And I want to maintain peace. I don't want everything to, yes. So Python is not the best for data cleaning. As in, and from the tools you've been exposed to, if you want to do data cleaning, is Excel the best or Power BI or Tableau? So it depends on your own strength. The methods some people can, the visualizations some people can do with Excel. Some people can do it with Power BI. Some people can do it with Tableau. So know your strength and maximize it. That's what the training is all about. Know your strength. If you know that you are very good in Excel, be very, very good in it. So it's not a must for you to know all the tools, but just know your strength. Now, okay, when it comes to Power BI, forget, no problem. When it comes to Tableau, you can see that what you can use Power BI for, you can still use Tableau for it to some extent. But I can't say what you can use Excel for, you can use Power BI for it. There are some features in Power BI that you can't find in Excel. But everything still depends on how you can do your manipulations. You can do some visualizations in Excel, and when you are doing your presentation, nobody's even interested in the tool you use. People are interested in the results. But it is when you want to do the quotation that you say, we need this special software, and this special software costs so much. You won't see Excel. You won't see Excel because Excel is available. It's free. I can give you. Don't give me. I want to go and buy it. So the essence is just for you to know the best tool for, yes. So I won't want to create a visualization and I will be using Python. No. Why will I be using Python? Now I can't be using Python. But when we want to do predictive analysis that involves some machine learning algorithms, then Python is it. I can't use Power BI for predictive analysis. I can't use Tableau for predictive analysis. I need Python for that. And when we get there, I know the class will scatter a little bit. You'll be lost. Then you'll find yourself again, then move on. So these are the different charts we can use for. These are the different charts we can use with Matplotlib. Different visualization, correlation. Then the lady that asked about heat map. So heat map, you use Seaborn for it. So I'll give us the notebook, then use it for your own personal practice. So I believe this is the best point for us to stop. So any question, let's ask questions and see. You see, our platform, don't let us we have some people that are very sound among us. Don't underrate anybody. Please don't let us underrate ourselves. As in, we have some people that are good among us. Let's always reach out to them. When you win your first project, as in you may need help, don't die in silence. Reach out to a colleague that can help out. It can be 70-30. 70 is okay. 70% is okay. But when you want to when you want to eat all the cake, that is when you can end up in trouble. So your first grant, as in reach out to those who can help and let them help you out. So we'll be trashing out how to install blah 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 on our Telegram link. It will be saving it automatically. Okay, yes. We'll take pictures before we leave outside. So now the program is coming to an end gradually. We thank God for how far, what we've been able to achieve so far. People have been asking about internship. Now, I think we won't be having problem for people in Abuja for the internship. I said we won't be having problem for people in Abuja for the internship. It's just like IT, like an IT, and it's optional. So we won't be having problem with people in Abuja for the internship. We won't be having problem with people in Jigawa for the internship. Now, you discover that this program is a very good program. Any governor can support. It's a very good program any governor can support. We always want to appreciate Jigawa State Governor. He was the one that said, no, bring this program to Jigawa State. And they have is it not like 10,000 youths in 10 centers across different local governments in Jigawa. Speak to your governor too. When you want to implement it, come and call us. So we won't have problem for internship for people in Jigawa. We won't have problem for internship for people in Abuja. But for people in Kano, Katsina, people in Kano should speak to Ganduje. Or now we can implement that. People in yes. Hold on. Now, the most important thing I'm looking up to is the access that NITDA has promised us. NITDA has sent as a top 500 students in each program. We'll be given free access to enroll in a certification program on Coursera. So we are looking forward to that. They can do it. Sincerely, they can do it. And sincerely, I don't know, there's a way you can push us to make it a reality. You can come together and write. The money is there. How to spend is the problem. You write through us to need that. Yes. That you have learned blah blah blah. You have gone through this program, but you need tools. How much? At the end of the day, if you get the laptop, if you decide to give 10 minutes, you can get 7 minutes. By the end of the day, you still get our money. So I think we should respect that. We can come together as we like to provide letter. This has your name, sign. This has your name, sign. That is why I want us to take this picture. I can't use it. Next section. The money is there. Okay, you don't have the protest. There is money. I know we are in Abuja. And inside is also in Abuja. We can get it. So, No problem. Yes. Please give me a minute. I want to discharge the people online. Please, let's take picture. We need that picture for something. It's. I know your rep will help us push it. You know, we can pay a visit. We can choose like five. Is our money now? Is our money? Or else we'll go there. Sorry, they will give us. They will give us. You know, it's you have to type it. Then they will sign. They will sign in pen, but you type it. Next class, you can't type. Yes, you will get it sincerely.
So that means you guys should endeavor to come that next Saturday so that
Out? Yes, thank you very much.